So the first item we have is approval of the January minutes.
Move to approve.
Do we have a second?
Yes, I'll second that.
All right, we have Susan for a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, meetings are approved. So the next thing that we have then is an update by Brian on the entrance sign and naming rights. So,
Yeah, and then
Yeah,
I'll
if
put
you
the
wanna-
camera on you. Thank you for coming in today, Brian.
Oh, of course. Thank you guys.
Hey, Lauren.
Oh.
Move over. He's going to turn that microphone on.
Hello. Oh, that's better.
Can you hear him?
I can hear you guys. Hello. Mary had a little lamb.
Yeah,
His
no, he
fleece
did.
was white as snow.
I think I'm looking at the guy in the back, and he was pointing to go to the podium, but I think you're okay there.
Oh, I can stand too.
We're good. He gave me a thumbs up, so you're good.
Awesome. Great.
Okay. All right, so, at the last meeting, the committee had asked to get a kind of an update on
Yep.
where we were with the signage and the sponsorship, so we reached out to you, and I did put in the packet. It's not completely done, and you can kind of explain the walkthrough of the last design that you had sent me,
Sure.
and kind of your thoughts on the drawing, portion and stuff like that. So I will let you give them an update on where you're at.
All right. Fantastic. Yeah, as far as the signage goes, I mean, everybody saw there are basically two options. And I think, the most advantageous, obviously, is the one where they're giving us a 50% discount. They're covering half the cost. And that would be Graphic House and the Brown Arch. I personally, like the one from Stratford Signs, the creativity on the whole thing, and but that's over $8,000 compared to about $4,000. And after they made some changes on the original design at Graphic House, it's like, I like that, so it's as simple as that, other than Deb's drawing that this is all based on hadn't really been integrated yet into that design, and so how do we do that? They suggested on the backside, so I would imagine as you're leaving the park, you would see that. That's cool with me, I came up with a, little something. You can have something on the side or whatever. I mean, that's not a real sticking point, for me. Overall, if cost is an issue, and from what I understand, most of you like, this one, I'm cool with that. I think it looks nice. It's professional and respectful. And so, yeah, those are my thoughts on that signage.
And so one of the things you mentioned to me in your email is, in talking with the committee tonight, if that's the sign that we liked, you could get it started in the process, right?
Yes.
And how long did they say it would typically take for them to make it?
I think 6 to 8 weeks.
Okay.
Yep, 6 to 8 weeks. So they get the okay, this week or whatever, and they would need a down payment, however, whether I do that or I don't know how that works. You just tell me what to do and I'll do it. Yeah, it could be, 6 to 8 weeks and it'll be ready to rock and roll.
Okay. So I think, so Jamie, I'm kind of taking over, sorry. But, so that's
fine.
kind of the discussion. One of the reasons was Brian's here to give an update too is, well, we can talk about the fundraising in a second,
Yep.
give an update on that. But then if we, if we're looking 6 to 8 weeks for the sign, and we're thinking we want to try to have this open as soon as the ground is dry enough in the spring, I was going to say fall, but skip it too far ahead. In the spring, it's probably like May is when it usually dries up enough, so backwards, we probably want to get it, we're by mid-March at the latest, in order to have it in place before that grand opening, which would be nice. So, and to do that, the committee can discuss, we do have enough money right now in the current budget account to take care of it up front. And then part of that sponsorship dollars that they have set with you is what would go to pay for it too. So the the budget wouldn't be out anything as far
Okay.
as the dog park goes and the additional amenities that you guys were wanting to add. It would just be money up front, and then it would be, it was considered part of that donation in the beginning anyway. And there's a small, I think we had $500 or $600 in there for signage as well, that goes towards any of the signage too, but that's all part of the budget, so.
Uh-huh.
So fundraising, can you give an update on that?
Yeah, so basically, as my communications have, stated a couple times, and it's, everybody's been affected by COVID. The first time that we met, many, many months ago, it was so exciting. We had a packed house, and, when I first approached you guys, I had no idea what to expect. I just lost my wife. I thought she had an amazing story. I'm gonna try not to cry again, and shared it with you guys, and you guys agreed. I didn't come here, with, what, I got more money than anybody else, please name it, after my cause. And it's just that if I'm lucky enough, if you guys would agree that I would like to have it named after my wife, and I think everybody agreed that the story was pretty, compelling. So then it came up with the fundraising aspect of it and the raising of money. And at that particular point in time, and even at this time, it's not going to be a problem, other than, the method and what's happening and all that kind of stuff. So it's like Dave Calloway from WIFC was there, and it's like, we can raise that in a weekend. And then COVID hit, and then you can't have any big fundraisers. You can't have 200 to 300 people. Darn, you're not being polite. What do we do now? So we tried a couple things, put boxes out in restaurants. Well, COVID hit. That was pretty much a complete bust, other than I would like to talk about maybe a success story or two. For example, some of the smaller places like the Office Bar, they raised $150 in the box by customers and some of the bartenders admitting that it's like, we took our tips and we put them in there, raised $150, and then the bar matched it to give us $300. That's amazing. And then, as I was trying to tidy things up, a couple of weeks ago, it's like, okay, I know the boxes are probably not going to, create a lot of income for us, generate a lot of revenue, but we need to collect them and find out where we're at. Well, I found out that most of them were not even delivered. There was, other organizations, oh yeah, we'll put these out. It's like, oh yeah, we have all the boxes, but they're empty. It's like, okay, that's understandable again under, COVID. Did a couple GoFundMe and doing a PayPal thing, right now. So basically the bottom line is, I'm gonna guess, there's been $6,000, raised. When we talked about this in the beginning, I said it's not gonna be a problem, because I'll get a mortgage on my house, I'll do whatever it is I have to do to, fix things up. And I really do believe with this last push that I've made, by the end of the week, we can potentially do that, but I had kind of a come to Jesus moment, today. So basically my philosophy was, I reached out to everybody again, and it's like possibility thinking. Robert Schuller, I'm an old guy, and, I don't know if anybody remembers, Reverend Robert Schuller had this book. If you need to raise $1 million, you ask one guy for $1 million, two people for 500, all the way down to 1 million people. So it's like, well, right now we're roughly $10,000 short, so if we get 2,000 people to give $5, we're golden. We reach it, and that's very doable. But over the process of the last couple of days of asking people, and let's do this again, everybody's been suffering. Long story short, I had lunch at Chatterbox today, and then I grabbed some dinner at Bunkers, and people were walking up to me. This is kind of a big deal for the community and my friends and my family, and they're all giving me $5, and I am getting huge donations, like $100 from people that I don't even know. Now, it's not going fast enough to reach that 17.5, but it kind of hit me. I don't know how to say this and be politically correct, but it's like I'm kind of selling out. I'm walking by asking for $5 so I can get this park named after my wife. And it really made me feel kind of bad. So at this particular point in time, I think, I agreed, when we first met, that I would cover any shortfall. It's nobody's fault that, coronavirus and COVID, hit, but the process right now leaves a bad taste in my mouth. This is to honor my wife, in mind. This is my problem. This is my issue. And I think at this point, instead of pushing and continuing to have my hand out, I would prefer just to pay the balance out of my retirement, and I can do that, in 24 hours, and get it off my plate, be done with it, and let's plan on some fun stuff, and let's make sure the sign is awesome, and, I'd probably send 100 text messages, people that have always been there, and people are not calling me back or texting me back, and I'm sure they feel bad. Because again, they're hurting, and I don't want it to be all about that. I want it to be about Deb, 2 hearts for Deb, dog park, greatest dog park in the world. So that's kind of what my thoughts are right now.
Okay. Thank you for the update. Committee, I guess the committee, do you have any comments?
I would just say, I'm not trying to steer anybody in any direction, but I certainly wouldn't feel, Brian, that you're selling out, or, doing anything. You're trying to, you set out to do something and you're trying to do it. There's nothing wrong with that.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely, and I agree. But when you go through a process of what Deb had to go through, the community raised $30,000 for us like 2 years ago when she was sick and she lost her job. I won't say where, even though I want to, and the community, came and supported us. So it's like, how many times do you go to the well, especially when other people are hurting, as well? And I guarantee you, I feel really confident, especially with it's really 2,000 people, $5 a piece, then it's not all on me. That's great. Because I'll be honest, I would prefer not to have to write you a check for $10,000, but I will. And I think, like I said, I just want to kind of get that off my plate and, just, do that.
Yep. Yeah. I think so, the one of the stipulations we had talked to you about too in the, back when they decided to do this was just by that, we would like the payment with the fundraiser so that the park could be fully built by the time we had a grand opening. We had originally thought in the fall didn't happen.
Yep.
For a number of reasons, mainly the turf wasn't established. So, the spring, so we were just talking about like a mid-May type of opening, hopefully, y'all depending upon the weather and the turf and stuff, but, so, I think that's from, I guess I'm just speaking for myself too, and the committee should have a discussion on this is it something that, it's totally up to you when you give the money and really how you give the money, so you could write it tomorrow and that would be up to you. As far as the committee goes, and I'm speaking, I guess, from just my recollection of the discussion, is, there's a little bit more time yet too, that
Right.
if you have other avenues, if we set a date that maybe May 1st is that date, and if you do it beforehand, great, if you do it up to that date, but I think that's where the committee's kind of, as we're still at that, as long as we know that you're still committed to it, and that it's going to be done when the sign goes in, and then it's official. I think that was the discussion, but I guess I'd look to the committee members to either confirm or change what I just said in any way.
Yeah, I think that was pretty much our discussion, so by the time that it opens, so
Yep.
we're just the start of March here, so there's still a little bit in there yet.
Okay.
And hopefully you can do some more too.
Well, because my main concern is, I want to get the ball rolling, I'm not known for being very patient. So it's like, let's get that sign in there next week. Come on, let's get it done. So I wanted to make sure that the lack of funding on my end did not delay that. It's like, well, as soon as you give us $17,500, then we can start the process with Graphic House, if that's the way we're going to go, and I think we probably should. I just wanted you guys to know that I would write a check tomorrow, and you could start that if that's what you needed, from me, so.
And you said you already have, I think I caught like 6,000 is what you've already.
Yeah, I'm guessing I haven't gone through, everything, and by the time all is, said and done, my responsibility, if I decided to wrap it up this week would be, roughly $10,000, yeah.
I guess the committee, I'd like to hear your thought. I would need direction from you if you want us to move forward with ordering of the sign now, or if you want us to wait until any funds are in hand. Maybe it's the 6 you already have that you do right now, and then the remainder by that May 1st. I'm just throwing this out there. I guess I'm not on the committee. I'm just the staff in charge of this. So I would like the committee to discuss timing. And, we very well could wait till it's all here and then we get the sign. We have the rules sign up at the park already, so it looks
Yeah.
like a dog park. We just don't have the entrance sign.
Right.
But I think that I need direction, I guess, from the committee so that Brian and I can work together if it means getting the sign started and how we're gonna pay for it. Like I said, there is currently funds in the budget that we have that could go towards it, or it could come out of that 6,000 that you already have. Either way, it's gonna just replenish.
Mhm.
Your donation is gonna replenish what we currently have in there that we have earmarked, like for a shelter that we're putting in, and some other equipment. So, I guess committee, tell me, what your thoughts are.
Well, I'm always a great fan of a deadline. And when you have a deadline, things get done. Otherwise, well, I can do it tomorrow, or I can do it tomorrow. You know how that goes. And so the sooner the better. I like what Jamie said, maybe the 6,000 by the 15th of March, and then the rest by the 1st of April. And to that point, I heard on the news this afternoon that the stock market is at its highest peak ever. And so if one were to sell, now is the time. Sell high, buy low.
Right.
So, but thinking, what you have now and in 2 weeks, and then the rest by April 1st.
Uh-huh.
I think,
If that's a motion, I'll second it.
It was more of a statement, but can be made into a motion.
well, and I was thinking actually too, just what did we say, the sign was like 4,000, even if it was just enough to, if he's got, well, I mean, I guess if he's got 6,000, get it in the coffers.
Yeah, get the offers, yeah.
So is that a motion? Susan?
Oh,
Is there a
okay,
motion?
all right, then let's go ahead.
Well, if I know what you said, so if you phrase it in, if that was a motion and Tom seconded, then now we can have discussion
We
on
can
it.
discuss it,
Now we
yep.
can make changes.
Okay.
Yep,
So does that motion include then ordering the sign, just so I'm understanding, we'd order it at this time so that it can get, installed by open?
It should,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
Tom, is that okay with you
Thank
as
you.
a second?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, Jamie, I didn't mean to interrupt you. So
No.
Keep talking what you were thinking.
well, and my thought too on the dates is, so if we had that in the coffers and we go ahead and get the sign, get rolling, get going on the sign, because I'm sure we've got to, they've got to order the materials, we've got to get in their backlog and construction, anything related to construction materials right now is insane.
That's a good point, yeah.
And then look at a date, if we're talking, don't let me guess on the weather because I'm not batting 100 here at all. But if we're looking maybe mid-May or even like the first weekend in June kind of for the grand opening, so we'd probably want to we'd want to look at the beginning of May then for a kind of a deadline versus, I don't think we need the 1st of April, but that gives a couple months yet. Anybody's thoughts on that?
Any more discussion on that? And you could make that in the form of an amendment to and if the first and the second agree, then we could change the motion. Otherwise, you could have an amendment and then a second to the amendment and vote on that too. So, any other thoughts on that?
It's fine with me.
Susan?
That's fine with me too, yeah.
Okay. So, okay. So I'm trying to,
Do you want me to recap the motion?
This is your job.
I know.
No, so what I heard was that if you have the 6,000 now, so the 6,000, or whatever you've raised so far.
Right, well, there's a current, it's not, it's through PayPal, but there's a
Okay.
current campaign
Yeah.
going on that's at, well, 1,500, whatever,
Okay.
you know, so that's probably not as liquid, but again, I can just pay for it myself. And then there's a couple thousand in cash from the boxes, and then I know somebody else did the GoFundMe, I have to contact them to have access to $2,000, you know, there, so,
Okay.
yeah.
So do you think, because right now it's the 1st, you said the 15th for that first, whatever you had so far, to be, do you think that 2 weeks is enough time to go through all of that?
Oh, sure, I think so, yeah,
Okay.
absolutely, yeah, thank you.
So I guess so right now it looks like what they're asking at the committee, if I'm right, is that whatever you've raised so far by the 15th of this month, and we go ahead right now and we'll order the sign, we can get it ordered starting tomorrow, like
Awesome,
give them the
yeah.
go ahead. And then the remainder amount by May 1st.
Sure, yeah. And if I decide, you know, that it's like, you know what, I'm done with this, I write you a check, and then you just have the money earlier, but at least I have some breathing room now, and people can talk me out of it or whatever. It's like, oh, no, we'll do this, or whatever. Because there's still people that, you know, still want to do, you know, stuff, but it's emotional and it's overwhelming. You know, I just want to see that sign, you know, up there, and I'll do whatever it takes to get it done.
Yeah, well, and maybe too, as it gets warmer outside, if there's, you know, you might have opportunities to do something outside, like more of a fundraiser. I mean, I don't know what you have planned.
Right.
People will be able to gather outside easier.
Yeah.
We hope
Well, that makes a huge difference. I mean, you could raise $10,000 in one weekend very easily.
Yeah,
You know, and, well, we have so many places, but even at, you know, this day and age, you know, a lot of people are staying away from those, you know, kind of thing, so. But regardless, you know, so no, I totally understand. As far as the sign goes, are there any changes? Because they charge for $150, even if we just change the color, you know, so
yeah, I guess the discussion was there, well,
Let's approve this
Yeah, let's
motion
do that
first,
first,
and then we can do a motion on the
I
sign.
told you I wasn't patient.
so Jamie, go ahead, you can take it from there.
All right, so we've got the motion, anybody need it repeated, are we all good? Okay. All right, so I need approval, well, no, we got the second on the motion.
Yeah.
Ugh,
All
I
those
lost
in
where we're at. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right,
All right,
Aye.
that was everybody, so the motion did pass.
Yep,
All right, and then we can talk about the signage. Does everybody get a chance to look at it? Did you,
It's this one, right?
Yep.
similar to
Well-
that?
Or something like that.
that's the new one is in your packet, that's in this new packet.
Yeah, let me-
It's just a little bit different.
There you
Oh,
go.
yeah, okay.
So the heart was changed.
The heart was changed,
Yeah.
okay.
Yep.
That one, okay.
Yeah, and you said that main section is brown, so it's like a brown and a red color?
Yeah, I don't know how well you can see on the copy you have, but, you know, initially it was all brown and it looked very boring and industrial, you know, to me, so I just asked them to add some color, and Deb's drawing obviously is very important, and no pun intended, it's the heart of the matter, you know, but people would look at that wondering, what the heck is that? You know, I don't get that. Now, that can be explained or be integrated in, you know, other parts. You know, so, you know, I asked them, I sent them some clip art, you know, like that, and said maybe that would be better. And then when they put that, you know, in there and sent it back, it's like, yeah, that looks good, you know, I thought,
Yep.
you know, so.
Yep, and the cardinal and the love you more, that's significant to your
Yes.
story, so that
Yes,
stays
correct.
on there.
So the only other thing is, you know, like I said, on the backside, I would like to incorporate, you know, Deb's drawing somewhere, you know, on the sign. I guess I don't really have any strong feelings either way, so as a committee, whatever you guys think, would be okay with me.
I know we kind of talked about, when we initially met with you, even having like something with her story
Right.
on there too. So if we've got something that maybe has that and then her story.
Yeah, I know Ed had, you know, mentioned something that there might be other signage or whatever throughout the park, and by all means, yeah, that's where that would probably play a better part, you know.
Yeah, I could see that being something kind of similar to like the rule signage as it's just its own sign. That's
It
easy
could
enough
even
to
be
do.
attached as a placard on the side of the sign.
Mhm.
of the
Yeah.
outside.
Yeah, maybe something like that. But I think that's fairly minor, but, again, I don't know how committees work, and you have to have everything down to a T, so, if you need to have that figured out tonight.
No, I think that's something we can talk about later, it's not,
For the placard.
yeah.
So are we okay if he wanted to put it on the back of the sign, put it there too, that's fine, and then you can always explain it when you talk about a separate placard that would go out there?
Yeah, I mean, that would be fine with me. Anybody else have any thoughts on?
That sounds good.
Yeah, you definitely want to use the back side of the sign, because that's what people will see as they leave the park.
Yeah,
And there's nothing worse than having a blank back of the sign. You say, thank you for coming.
right.
Nothing else, so, yeah.
Right.
Use both sides.
Yeah. I was thinking possibly having fire coming out of the columns. Is that maybe too much? A
Maybe just a
little bit too much? All right.
next year.
Next year, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or maybe if it shoots dog trees out, I mean, that
Oh, I
might.
like that, even better.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so no other comments on the sign?
Looks good.
Are we all,
Then do you guys need me to follow through with Graphic House, or is that something that needs to be done officially with you guys?
I can do it either way. If you maybe want to CC me in on the process with
Sure.
who your contact is, because if they have any questions about like placement or installation, then I can help them with that.
Okay.
So we can. just
Yeah, let's do that
see,
tomorrow morning. I'll reach out and say, we're good to go. Here's Jamie. She knows more than I do about, and so, okay.
And you give them the direction on the back of the sign.
Sure, that'd be great.
Yep. Okay,
all right, so do we have a motion to approve the sign? We should.
sure, go.
Somebody want to make a motion?
So moved.
Okay, well then I'll second it.
All right,
You beat me to
Tom and Susan for the second. All those in favor?
Hi.
All right.
All right, we're all in favor, so the sign is approved.
Yay.
All right.
All right.
So I think that's it, Brian. We'll stay in touch
Okay.
about the sign, and then let me know too about the donations, and
I do have a couple other questions. So one good thing about this process, that has been difficult for me. Most of them have fallen through. Jim Nick, who's a big supporter of the whole community and a huge supporter of my wife and me, thought that American Family would cover, but that fell through. So in my process of reaching out, over the last couple of days, somebody works at Fleet Farm, and she's a marketing manager, goes, oh, they don't normally do fundraisers, but benches and stuff like that. So my vet clinic, they wanted to do the poop bags, but apparently Cats and Barkers is going to do that. So are there any other opportunities that people that don't go to about giving me $1,000, but they'll spend $1,000 on poop bags? Are there any other opportunities that people can sponsor and be part of this whole thing?
yeah, and I can email you that list that we had to begin with, but right now we have 4 benches sponsored. I think we were looking at, forget what the total number was, so there's still some benches that could be
Okay.
sponsored.
And what is the cost on benches?
$1,100.
Okay,
And then, I think it's $1,100. And then, the next item on the agenda too is the group's gonna talk about agility equipment that
Okay.
maybe to put out there. So although they don't have the pieces selected right now to know exactly what a certain piece costs, that's an option too, if they
Okay.
wanna donate and have their name on a piece of the equipment. And then there's always just the general donation board that's going to the fund that will, like I said, they still plan to do a shelter out there, the agility equipment, and even possibly maybe irrigation, depending upon what the funds are left.
sure.
In there, and then there's going to be a large donor sign that will have the donors on, and there's certain levels that we'll have on.
Okay.
Donate. But I can email you that one letter we had that went out to different
Yeah,
communities.
that would be helpful.
Yeah.
That'd be great, thank you.
Yeah, and I know too, we talked last week about some picnic tables in the shelter too, so I guess that would also maybe be an option. We didn't price those out or anything, but that would be another option for them too.
Okay. I think a lot of them, as long as they're $1,000 or under, that's not really the issue. It's just that they can't write 2 hearts for Deb, a check for $1,000, but they can buy you a picnic table, kind of thing.
So one thing when they donate to the, can they donate to the city?
I would imagine, yeah.
Okay. Because I think that's something else that could be an option too, and I guess that's what the committee decided. If you have people who are committed to fundraising, like that would be fundraisers for you, that would go to that amount, but they can't make it to you personally because you're not a 501c3 or whatever.
Right.
And they need to make it to us, we can do that and label it the naming rights donation. So,
Okay, great.
so that's not a problem either. If you had somebody who would give $1,000 but can't give it to you, but can give it to the city.
Right.
Just on that check, they need to put on there, 2 hearts for Deb, and then we can keep track of that. That would go towards that 17.5 as well.
Great.
That's kind of middleman.
So then I assume, so for example, a lot of people, they would write a check out and one intermission wrote a check for $100 and they wrote it out to 2 hearts for Deb. That's something that I can give to you guys. I don't necessarily have to sign that over or whatever, but that, okay.
Yeah, and make sure they put dog park on it.
Okay.
And then when it comes to our finance department and they put it in the fund we have set, they know exactly where it's gonna go.
Perfect.
So, yes.
Yeah, I don't see any problem with that. Just earmark it as it's part of that. It makes it easier for them to give money.
Right? Yeah, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, so even
Yeah.
if you got a whole bunch of checks that were labeled to that and you collected those checks and then handed them all to me, we can do it that way too. As a deposit is, instead of a check coming directly from you, it could be,
Okay.
a number.
Do you have any guidelines set on a donor board on when what donation level would get your name up on there, whether it's $50, $100, $200? Because, like I said, a lot of people, I don't even know who they are. Some of them I do, but they've already given $100, or, Jim Nick has given $500. And if there's the opportunity to have their name put on there as part of that, that would be nice. I don't think, that's not why they gave it. It's not necessary.
Sure. Yep. So this is a copy of the letter and I can email it to you so you could print it out or I can get you some copies, but
Awesome, thank you.
yeah, that's what the committee had put together.
Perfect. Great, thank you.
All right.
Okay, well, thank you so much for that, and that's good to move forward with and
Yeah,
good information for you.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Can it be June now?
Right? Thanks, Brian.
All
Yeah,
right,
just hope
thank
for
you,
warm
guys.
weather.
All right, peace.
All right, park construction budget update timeline. She rolled it all into one.
Yeah, I don't really have a new park construction, and budget update, that stuff is really the same. We haven't done anything more to it since the last time. Tom, I just wanted to let you know, I reached out and I sent an email and a follow-up email to, the Bark Academy, that's who's on there? To try to get their logo, and confirmation that we could use that area for parking. And I haven't heard a word, so I haven't made those parking signs yet, because I haven't gotten their return. So,
Lauren might be able to help push them a little bit on that.
Yeah, I can ask her about that, because I just talked to her about putting a flyer up. I usually take my dogs every week for their training, for lack of better words, their specialized training. I was gonna mention, when I was there this week, the parking lot is very icy, like the water is really pooling, and it's kind of like an ice rink. So I was just wondering if we're encouraging people to park there, like if we have some responsibility to
Well,
salt, sand, anything, or it's just kind of is what it is.
well, right now the park's not open, so there isn't any.
Right, I mean, if we're like doing next weekend, if we're like inviting
Yeah.
people to come.
Yes, then we would do some treatment to it, and, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I can mention that to her.
Okay. I'll resend the email and maybe CC you on it again, just so that information's there. Maybe it went to her junk mail or something.
Okay, otherwise I just connect with her on Messenger and text, like I've never emailed her, I don't know if
Okay.
that's a better way to get a response.
Yeah, I only looked up the company, on that's how I got the email, so,
Okay,
but, yeah, I mean, maybe reach out to her and ask her what the best way to contact her, and then I could give her a call too or something.
okay, that sounds good, because she does get kind of overwhelmed, it seems like. A lot going on over there.
Hey, Jamie,
Yeah,
do you have, this might help with the discussion with the owner over there, do you have a rendition of what that parking sign would look like with their name on it? Even just kind of, roughed in?
yeah, I can do that. I don't have it right now, but I could easily throw that together, sure.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good thing, just so she can see, oh, there's gonna be 6 of these out there, and, with our name on them, oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
And,
okay, yeah, that's easy to do.
okay,
We'll talk about the event in a second, but the other thing that the committee wanted to kind of look at today, and I'm sorry, it's hard to do over WebEx, and I didn't really think of this till right now. I have some flyers, but I probably should have scanned them so that everybody could kind of look at the same thing. So maybe what I will do to make it easier is I will scan some of these. I got some like magazines, with different companies that have different agility equipment, and I guess maybe then people could vote on what their top choices are for, do we want, I can put this in front of here, like, for those of them, do we want like hoops to jump through? Do we want like things to balance on and go through? And so I can take a few of these different magazines I have, and then maybe I'll number them, and then if you can send me an email back with your top 10 choices, ranked in order, and I'll put this all in an email. And then for the next meeting, or I can even consolidate them and then email them out to everybody, but I can definitely have them for the next meeting as well, and we can kind of really then focus in on what the desire is out there. I didn't know with some people WebEx and some people in person, I wasn't quite sure the best way to really look through agility equipment would be, but what do you think of that suggestion?
it sounds good.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Okay,
There's an agility training group that has a facility or had down in Mosinee. I wonder if they would have recommendations of, you really need this, this, and this, I don't know.
Mosinee?
I think that it might be Paper City.
Paper City might,
On
I
that?
think they've got a subgroup, Paper City Kennel Club or something.
Okay. We have a little bit too, I think in that presentation we sat through like a year and a half ago, I think there's some suggestions in there of what might be some good ones. So I'll pull that back out too. That was it. That was a big packet that we had, like this.
Yeah, I've got it right here, actually.
It was this off-leash dog park trends and planning tips that we kind of sat through that webinar. Yeah, so I'll take a look at that too, and I'll put together some options, and then you can all number them and get back to me.
Sounds good, thank you.
Okay. That's all I have for that one.
Okay. So discussion of fundraising event. So like I said, I'm not batting 100 here with dates at all. Right now, there is, Jamie mentioned just at the beginning of the meeting, right now there is snow cover. My thought is it's probably pretty crusty and icy. I was watching my dogs skitter across the backyard today. And we're supposed to get 40-degree temps later on this week, which is going to, with the sun beating down on that area, it's probably going to diminish that cover pretty quick.
It's going to be sloppy at best.
When I talked to our turf guy today, I had him look at it. He said as of today, there's enough cover there where it wouldn't hurt the turf or hurt the dogs or get anything muddy, but he said he can't predict what it will look like by Saturday with the temperatures that are coming, and there's probably a really pretty good potential that there could be no snow cover and then it would be pure mud, and then that would really make us kind of start over with the turf as well. So it's hard. It's hard. We haven't had very good luck with this winter, so.
No, yeah, we're supposed to be high of 41 tomorrow, 43 Wednesday, 39 Thursday, 43 and sunny on Friday, and then 41 again on Saturday. So I think our odds of not having decent snow cover is unfortunately pretty good.
I agree. Let's not muck up what we have as far as the turf is concerned.
And I'm fine with that too. If everybody else's thoughts, if they're set on we should have this, or yeah, the weather really, once we finally got snow, it was too darn cold.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. It's unfortunate, but like everything else with our fundraising the last year, what are we supposed to do about it?
So I'm game for just canceling that, and
Coming
we'll
up
just
with a new idea?
wait it out.
Yeah. Do we need a motion on that, or just
I don't think
not
we
do
need a
it?
motion, no, just
I
a
don't think
discussion.
either.
Yeah.
As long as, I mean, we haven't advertised it yet. I was waiting for tonight and put it up tomorrow, so if you want to postpone it, I mean, we can always change the date if we do, with the grass. If the snow goes away and the turf looks pretty good, it's a potential it can, have a soft opening sooner, so we just have to assess it as well there.
And there, it's Wisconsin, there's a potential to get 12 inches of snow yet.
Right.
Yeah, day after tomorrow or middle of June.
So, all right, we'll go and just put that on hold for right now.
Sounds good.
I do like the idea of doing maybe a couple soft openings kind of before the grand opening too, just to work things in and,
Absolutely.
yep.
Okay.
All right, that's all we have on the agenda. Our next meeting, April 5th. Gosh, by then we should have a good update on the sign and
Yeah.
might be able to start looking at tentative dates then for the actual grand opening.
Mm-hmm. I'll put that on as,
So 6 o'clock on the 5th?
The time is usually determined by the park meeting, but that's been pretty
yeah,
typical.
it's been pretty consistent that that's worked out, so it'll depend on our agenda, but 6, I would plan for about 6 o'clock, yeah.
6. Sounds good.
Okay. All right, we can go ahead and motion to
move we
adjourn.
Let's go home.
Tom seconds. What do you got, Tom, did you have something, or?
No, bye-bye.
All right,
Bye, have a good night.
thank you, everybody.